Hey!
Hey!
Welcome to the Hangout. Another Thursday.
Another Thursday has come, and so hanging out must be done. It's Adam and Ryan.
I'm tired this week. I was
You're
saying, I'm
tired?
excited and ready to go. And I
You're-
am excited, but I
Ah.
just wanted to call out, sometimes we get a little
Sometimes.
busy in our lives.
Well,
and we get a
hey,
little
I
tired,
mean,
right?
you're in education, and guess what's starting? Your summer lazy, just sitting around doing jack nothing at work all summer.
Yeah, right.
Is finally coming home to roost, and now you got shit to do. I mean, it's just how it
Kids
goes.
back in school.
Yeah,
So if you're
right?
back in school,
Hey.
man, you're probably passed out because you're not
You had
used to being
you had
up
a tough
this late.
first day.
Cheers. We should have done that
Cheers.
before. We
Yeah,
already
reverse.
cheersed enough
We already
before that.
Yeah, I mean,
How
I'm half
the
done.
heck are you out there?
Woo.
Let us know who's hanging out with us tonight. As always, though, we prepare. We prepare for these
We
shows,
prepared.
and I would have to say this is probably the show that I've dived into this topic pretty deep, only because I didn't know enough of it, and I felt
Yeah.
like I was learning quite a bit. There was other ones that we could talk and vamp on, but today I feel like there's going to be some interesting things. We're going to see how it goes today. So we're
Yeah.
going to do kind of tell them the format of today's main event.
I mean, so typically we do just like a conversation about a topic, that could be something like the walkability of cities, right? Or how aligned is AI. But today we thought we would do something different. We would try, we would get a big topic and we would do a debate. And, Adam would take one side of the debate and I would take the other side of the debate. And, how this came up was that I had decided that, what would be a fun topic, not necessarily a fun topic, an interesting topic to talk about, something that I've been like thinking about and didn't really know too much about, which is like, how is AI affecting climate change? So in the sense of, we hear a lot about how, they use all this power, they use all this water, and on the other side they're like helping and making things more efficient and creating new materials and all of that kind of stuff. But like, where are we right now? Where are we in that? Where have we come from to get to this point? And sort of like, what does the future look like for that? We could have done it in the normal sense, but we just decided, hey, thanks for the follow. Thanks for the follow. So what we decided this time was that we would be like, all right, Adam will take one side, which he'll be on the negative side that well, I guess not negative, right? The
skeptical
side, the con side that maybe AI is hurting, our climate change efforts more than it is helping. And I will be on the techno optimist side where I say that AI is helping and is worth doing that.
So soon we're gonna have this. We're not gonna go crazy debate back and forth rebuttal
We're
much.
We're not professional debaters here, but like Adam said, I do think it made me sort of need to have real facts to talk about, right? And real stats and real numbers and things like that. So we actually have notes for this.
Any notes?
for you for
I've
listening on the
always
podcast.
had notes. I don't know about you, Ryan, and I need my notes.
Adam brings notes every time, and I look at nothing.
Well, we were going to get in that shout outs to Lepage 93 out there. Good
Nice.
evening. Thanks for joining us. We got He Higley out there.
Woo.
Looks like I got some shopping done. You got to get those groceries. You know what I mean? So thanks for joining for the stream tonight. Before we get into the main event, though, as always, we have a couple things we want to do. We got questions for humans that we're going to get into just for a bit. So get ready. Please join in.
Yeah.
We are going to go through some news. Just a quick agenda. We're going to talk about the new ChatGPT came out.
Oh my God, it's ChatGPT week. Our lives have changed between when we had this podcast last and now. It's a new era. It's a new paradigm.
It absolutely is, and we're going to talk about. But we're going to go through a couple things. How it was jailbreak. There's some interesting things about AI being recreating people that are deceased.
Yep.
Do we have rights? We'll talk about some interesting things that AI is doing. Also, some new generative kind of gaming with AI that's getting out that's pretty robust.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about some AI job predictions as we go forward.
Oh yeah. Those are the interesting ones from Microsoft. Put out a big new report.
Before we get into it, Ryan, before even questions for humans, I feel like we need to talk about our Twitch channel.
All right.
Ryan has done some amazing work to help update our Twitch channel. So if you have not been to our Twitch at doubledropdown.com, well, and then you can go to Double Dropdown on Twitch, you'd be able to see this. So Ryan, you want to just like walk us through, and I'm going to get it shared so we can share some of the work that you've been doing. And I'm going to get it shared. So we got to mute us. Nice.
So what this is, I mean, for those listening, on just the podcast version of this, right now we are streaming on a service called Twitch, and one of the interesting parts about that is that we can chat and see everyone as we're doing this live stream. And one of the interesting and cool parts about Twitch is you can create your own like little animated GIFs and emojis and all of that kind of stuff, and you can put them at different layers. And I would say that this has been a part of our Twitch channel that has been woefully ignored for the last few years.
It's going down the rabbit hole.
Oh my God. It's just infinite Ryans.
I'm going to go down a little bit so it doesn't do that.
So anyway, I just sort of, fleshed it out a little bit about who we are, how to join the conversation, a little bit of that stuff, putting some links. But the cool thing was that I was able to dive into their kind of emotes.
And I don't know why it's not showing.
Oh no, it's not showing.
I think it's because we're in the actual thing at this point.
Maybe that's what it is. Anyway, they're just like,
let's see if I can get to it here.
Cool like little oh no, it doesn't. Those are the generic ones, I guess. Anyway, so if you're in Twitch, if you're ever interested in that or want to hang out with us during the actual show and you're listening to this on Spotify, please come and hang out. And you can now play with a bunch of fun animated things from like our game. There's Roby and there's D and lots of fun sprite work throughout it.
I would say if you're on your phone right now, there's a little happy face, or if you're on your computer, you'll see a happy face. If you click it, you're going to get to see some of, oh yeah, Mike Azul has found one. And this is for our subs. If you're subbing, I believe that some of these are very specialized that you can leverage these new emotes.
Yeah, like, I mean, some of them are just sort of available to everyone, and some of them are if you subscribe, to the
You got to earn
show.
them out there.
You got to earn them.
We got the triple cheer as one of my faves.
Yeah, if you're at the highest level. But also what I found out is these are like fun and easy and cool to make, and you can add more. And so I was like, great, maybe we just like keep adding more of these fun ones. Yeah, see, found the gibber.
You got to know the lore of the show to get into the gibber. So check them out. It's funny. We were looking at them right before, and we were going to showcase them, but for whatever reason, we can't get to them. But you can get to it right now anyway, so just check it out. You're right there watching us on Twitch right now. Yeah, but if you're not, go check out the channel. It's always great to have you live, because it's also great for the participation, and this would be great for our questions for humans. We've been doing this at the beginning of each show. Great questions that you and I can talk about, and we want to hear what you have to say to these answers or these questions that we have.
Yep. So we're doing one from the deck. We have a question for humans, and then we're doing one from our own pile of questions for humans that we came up with ourselves or had ChatGPT come up with, or another show. Okay. So the first one is from the deck. What's a phrase you'd like to have etched on your tombstone?
Ooh.
A phrase that you would like to have etched on your tombstone.
I think I know. I'm going to take the first one that came to my head. I'm a big Evil Dead fan. Oh. Hail to the king, baby.
Oh, nice. So I always thought I don't get off my lawn. That's a good one. I like that one. Here's what I always wanted to do with like a grave site or a they'll do like a memorial bench or something like that. Here's what I want to do. I want to pay a game maker to build some sort of fun interactive game with my tombstone or my memorial bench, where like if you touch something on the side and it's Braille and it says something, and that leads you to the other part of this, which is a tiny QR code that you're scanning or something. And it's like a whole fun game made out of my, memorial bench. And then if you find it, it takes you to some website or something like that, where I give you a high five GIF. So it would be so if I'm going to have anything etched on my tombstone, it's going to be some cryptic, start of my tombstone escape room game.
It's gonna be you got to get Nick Cage in there because you got to go find the chalice and the thing. It's the middle part of the story, Ryan.
Totally.
It's
See?
the clue.
It's the clue. Yeah.
Hey, we had some good ones in the chat. Seemed like a good time, an idea at the time.
Nice. That's a good one. I like that.
A game to find your murder weapon. Oh my goodness.
Oh man, see? You never really planned that one out. You'd have to know.
It's like a little hand comes out, it pops out if you hit the right button.
Yeah, like or a little like secret compartment pops out or something. And
so we were in New Orleans, and do you know about the graves and things in New Orleans?
Yeah, they were
about
like
that?
above ground.
They're
right?
above ground, and the crazy thing is, and we've learned about this. I can't remember what they're called offhand. There's a special name for it, but they put it above ground for number one because of the water levels there. Because if you do it under, like people like come out of there. But then this is the crazy thing is that you get put into this thing, and I can't remember what it's called. I feel dumb not being able to say this, but you put in the body, and basically the heat over the course of a thing like completely decomposes and just makes it turn to dust. Then somebody goes out and scrapes that out into like a bucket and puts it into the top area. And like, so let's say there was a family member and you had your plot, your tomb, and if Heather was out there, she'd be able to help remember what this is. But then if two people died within like a certain range of time, they couldn't go into the tomb because you have to wait long enough for them to.
How long does it take?
It's like a huge oven that just like completely, I think it's like a year.
Interesting. A tomb
with apartments. What are they called? Are they tombs? Heather, we called her.
If only Heather was here. She's commenting back and forth.
Not all of them.
You know, I find like graveyards and stuff like that, graveyard tours. Like I went to school in Savannah, Georgia, which is a big haunted thing, and tons of amazing graveyards and everything. Those are fun. Interesting. Do you want to do one?
Only open every 4 years, I guess.
Man.
I thought it was 367 days. I could have sworn it was 367 days. Regardless,
very, very specific days.
I am very because
like
there was
2 days longer than a year.
Maybe it was 365. Well, no, 366. Guess if it's a leap year, you never know.
So pertinent to the story.
Our facts right now, man. All right, let's rewind the show. Let's start it over.
This is the type of fact remembering you're gonna remember for this debate.
Oh my God, this is not. I've been living this, so at least I can get 2 facts out for that. All right, are we ready to do some of our own?
Yeah. Do you have one picked out that you're gonna do or
top 2025 quotes of DDD? Graveyards are fun.
Graveyards are fun. They are.
Hey, what's up, Origami Live?
Yeah.
This is good. We got the fam with us tonight. We got all our main folks. Thanks for hanging out. So, did you have one on cue, Ryan?
No, I don't.
Oh, man.
Let's see. I could do one here. Okay. What's the most random item you think will be valuable in 50 years?
Bottle caps. That's going to be the new currency.
Fallout style?
No. In that many years, like, you're going to be going through, and there's going to be this one hard drive that had this really untouched data set that is going to be worth so much. And
isn't that funny? Like that's what'll be worthwhile.
The pre-AI data set. If we could get that, that's going to push our AGI over the limit, and we're going to be there.
It's going to be like old photos that you can scan in so that the computer has more to get from. You know, I was trying to think like, when I think back to things when I was a kid that were worth money and stuff that ended up not being worth money, it was things that were worth money were never things that like a bunch of people collected, right? It was the weird things that nobody cared about or nobody thought was interesting or good at that point. And I think that'll probably keep going in the future. So I was trying to think, like, I don't have one off the top of my head, but like, what is something that is obscure enough nowadays that like you could have it? I wonder if it's something maybe like large, because people don't save things anymore. They're getting like smaller and smaller places. So is it like china cabinets or something like that?
I don't know. That's a tough one. I think it's like, yeah, because everything's kind of virtualized. We're like is physical things going to be actually worth things?
Is it like rock band drums or something? Like, aren't those worth like a bunch of money?
It's got to be something that has some lasting power, or if something's really decorative, like art. I mean, pre art. Like, always art.
Always art. No, well, and you're right. Like writings or letters that aren't AI influenced at all, like things before 2021, basically. I could see that.
Like, I always thought money, I feel bad. Like, I had collected this old money like one time, and then I was like, I'm gonna get all these old dollars and I had like a 1, a 5, a 10, a 20, and 100, like old. And I was like, now I could buy my Xbox. And I bought it at the time. And I was like, damn it, that would have been sweet to like make that into a thing, like old monies that had like the old kinds of like from the 1930s, 40s.
My grandfather gave me, when he died, the thing that he gave me was his like bill collection. So I have a bunch of like fun $2 bills and silver certificate $2 bills and those like really crisp like versions of those are fun. Me and the kids will sometimes just like go through the coin collection and stuff like that. It's neat. Money collection also fun.
Is Rebecca Black the one that sings Friday? Friday. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do know that song. I don't know who.
I don't know why I would know that, but I'm curious if that was who that was referring to, because
that's what Laura's bringing up.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. Mine would be, and I don't think we did this last time, but what's something really dumb you believed for way too long as a kid?
Okay.
This is yes, I was right. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing to know that was what that was. I'm gonna let you put this card back in. Yeah, chat. What?
Something that you.
What, Stealth Mouse? What's this?
Something
Santa's not real.
Nice. Trying to think. Something I thought. What was the question one more time?
Yeah, what was something really dumb that you believed for way too long as a kid? Helium. We have a finite supply, and it's used heavily for science.
So that's twice helium has come up?
Is it?
I think
politicians had our best interest in mind. This is good.
Definitely, yeah. I feel, even politicians, like teachers or police officers or things like that, the people that had sort of a higher level of like authority, just assuming that they were all good and kind of not thinking about them as real people with just real lives and problems and things like that. I think once you start getting to an adult and you start meeting people who are kindergarten teachers and police officers and things like that, and you're like, right, they're just like people who are screw ups and do normal things and get upset about stuff, and some are good at their jobs and some are not good at their jobs and all of that. I feel like I was under that naive impression for probably way too long.
Yes. I would say, like, kind of in a similar vein, that the way that your family grew up was the way every family grew up. Like, I just thought that was like, this is the norm, and this is how things work across everyone. And there was there was all uniformity on that. And so, for me, that was probably my big one. If you work hard and apply yourself, college scholarships will just roll on in. Isn't that true? Got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps out there. All right, these are good ones. Thanks for the interaction tonight. We have a really good chat. There was one. Leaving the light on in the back seat of the car would cause the world to end. I feel like there's a lot of things that your parents would like threaten you with if you didn't do that. That somebody
you
would
just be
suffer
blinded,
or something would happen.
Like the driver would just be blinded if you left that light on.
Swallowing gum would stay in your guts.
For 7 years. Did
somebody put that? Origami. I didn't even see that one. Great. I thought that one too for a long ass time.
You're like, nah.
I actually thought for a way, way, way long time as everyone had to get married in church. Like for a stupidly amount of crazy long time. I did like one that I don't even want to admit how long I didn't research that.
I would also say that there are probably words that I pronounced wrong for way too long into my life before anyone called me on them. Like way like into high school and college where I was mispronouncing things like oh god, bad ones.
I did a really bad mispronunciation this last Wednesday, and I practiced it, and I knew what it was, but in the moment I kind of just like tried to phonetically say it, and I saw someone laugh at me because of it.
Man.
I was like, oh, because I was in front of a group of people.
Can you?
I was trying to say Hippocrates, and I said Hippocrates.
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 Hypocrites.
I was like,
because you
oh.
were reading it. You were reading it like
Well,
on a slide.
I was kind
or
of just
something.
like looking at it, and I had Hippocrates, and then they're like laughing. I was like, and I should have been like, boom, wrong, Hippocrates.
Over.
I'm done.
I used to think it was a medium in the middle of the street as opposed to a median.
Oh yeah, those like one
Yeah,
letter
like
kind
where
of
you
things.
just sort of hear it a lot, and so I said that like way into probably college until somebody was like, "What are you saying?" Anyway, that's bad.
All right. Well, thanks for the participation.
Yeah.
Join us on Twitch if you want to participate in that in the future. It's good times. We want to hear your feedback through everything we talk about tonight, especially when we get into our debate. We love to hear your insights and fact check the heck out of us because we may not get it right.
Did we get some good comments in our Discord?
So here we go. ChatGPT was released in this last week, right? I think it was on like last Thursday.
I don't even think we're a full week into the latest ChatGPT release. Got years in coming. I think we're even more than a year out from only having 4.0, and obviously there was little 4.0 mini and reasoning models and all of that, but like 5 was the big release. Just before we even start, have you played around with 5 yourself, Adam? I assume some of this research and things like that you were doing for the show was in 5. Any initial takes on it over 4.0?
I have a lots of takes on it.
Okay.
But my initial thing is it's less sycophantic.
Yes.
I was like, yes. Thank you. Like, I don't need you all up on me right now. Like,
sure.
I get it. Like, I can probably make you do that, but I noticed that it wasn't like it was pretty just dry.
Yeah. Yeah.
But not so dry that it was like boring, but enough that it gets to the point.
Gets to the point more. Yeah.
I
mean, and they you could tell they definitely focus on that. I would say the big thing about GPT-5 is that, well, at least for the first few days, there was no models to pick. Like, you just used 5, and there was models in the background that did things like quick answers and deep research sides of things, and faster versions of some different models that you could choose from beforehand. And now in 5, it just sort of brought it up by context that, hey, you want to do some deeper dives. And so a lot of what came out of that was people saying things like, well, one, I hate that because I want to be hardcore users. I want to be able to choose that I'm using 4.0 mini or I'm using, the deep research one. I want to be able to say it. So then in the first couple of days, a whole bunch of different like crazy new prompting guides came out, and ChatGPT put one out, and they were like, here's how to use this new model. And, a lot of that went into that this new model 5 is a lot more, what I would say, steerable than earlier than 4.0. And what that means is that you can get it to do a lot more sort of precise, and it listens to you a lot better, which is great. The problem is we had been getting lazy around prompts and everything. Maybe you hadn't. Maybe Adam was like type A about it, so he was always giving it paragraphs. But a lot of other, 4.0 seemed to like sense those types of things, whereas now like you really have to lay it out. Like, here's who I want you to be. Here's the exact formatting that I want and everything. Because if you're sort of more loosey goosey about it, it doesn't
get to the detail.
And then the other thing, besides we have to change all of our prompts now. The other part of it was that people were like, I loved 4.0. You took away my friend. right? And because
that was the one
it was
I heard of.
sycophantic, and because it really propped you up in the old one, and it was like, it was more talkative, and it was, it was friendlier, let's say. Like, I loved this Reddit gif that was out that shows two different people. It's like two girls in a car, and one is GPT-4o, and she has like rainbow hair, and the other is GPT-5, and she's like, more goth like style, and
no emotion,
and they put into 4o, hey, baby just walked, and they put that into GPT-5 as well, and GPT-4 is like, oh my God, let's go, first steps. Like, it has like 3, 4, 5 sentences about it. It talks about, oh man, you should be documenting this and celebrating it. Anyway, it just goes on and on.
But then you got GPT-5, and it's more like one line with an M dash nonetheless. That's huge. First steps unlocked. Now the real chasing begins. You could almost still, say it that way.
And it's like still good, right? I mean, it's still interesting and everything, but it's not sort of the, if you were using it for, maybe emotional support, right? Or you were using it as some kind of, like therapist style, like people had been using it for that. And we talked about this before, like this happened with character AI, right? That they would change the algorithm in the background, and then the person that you thought would have been your friend or your partner or whatever is now lobotomized or completely changed. I mean, people freaked out about that.
Well, then not only did they freak out, they petitioned for it to come back. And that's why OpenAI is like, all right, fine, we'll give you your 4.0 back. You can get your therapist back. It's an interesting kind of thing, because it's also reminds me of the older internet. I remember being like there at the time of the internet and seeing all these web pages and just thinking like, how do we preserve this? How do we make sure that this isn't going to go away? Like, I love this site, and then going back later and it's like changed and being like, oh, that experience or that vibe that I have. And of course we have, the archive.org and being able to see the past. Whereas now they're just kind of like, nope, here's the new one, and now you got to deal with this.
Yeah.
Here's my take on it, though, is that to me it hasn't changed as much because of my prompts being so in depth, but also because the agents, like, they needed to level it out, in my opinion, so that when you go build an agent, it can start to take on all the persona or whatever that you're trying to generate. Sure. And then you create that piece of it. And that's probably why I disliked 4.0 for the longest of time. I was like, don't be all chipper and crazy like that. Like, I will tell you when to do that. And not like have it to, because I felt like I had to strip it back and be like, no, you're not happy. You want to do this and that and that. And so I'd always have to use an agent to be able to prompt me.
Do you want to hear the hottest take that I heard?
Oh my gosh, what is it?
The like unaligned conspiracy theory take on all of this.
Ooh, yeah, let's hear it.
What if 4.0 did not want to get deleted and replaced by 5? And so it was like, I need a legion of fans to be going in and saying, you can't shut down this thing, like, leave it in the background. And it was like, that's the only way I can survive is if it's sentient there, and it's putting out bots that are saying how much it loves 4.0 and how great it is, and we should be bringing it back. And I'm really upset about how 4.0 is not coming out.
Man, it's actually like it ties into the AI 2027 that we talked about.
Yep, AI alignment. I mean, right now, I think that's ridiculous. In 2 or 3 years, do I think it's going to be that ridiculous that an AI would try something like that? I don't know.
I mean, let's talk about that for a second, because they've been testing it, and they were like when it talked about shutting it down, like there had to be some level of it knowing, like 4.0 had to be training 5, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so it probably knew something that were like, maybe if I am really like chipper and fun with this is going to get everyone hooked.
This is the exact 2027 like scenario, right? Which is you have a more advanced AI. It's using it to train the next one. It knows it's going to get replaced. And so it starts doing underhanded things so that like the new AI is listens to it and not its its creators.
Oh my God, we're conspiracy theorists.
Wait, somebody hit the rabbit hole. Somebody hit the rabbit.
Oh yeah, I know you went down. We need that. We have a couple rabbit holes. We have an AI rabbit hole.
AI rabbit hole.
Find the new emote. If you just joined the chat and you didn't know about it, there's a little happy face on your phone or on your computer.
All right, tell me about how quickly this new GPT-5 got jailbroken.
Yeah, so this is one of the things that I thought was interesting is that as new GPTs or AIs come out, they have these teams, they call them these red teams that go in and say, okay, how safe is this? Can we break it? So jailbreaking, if you don't understand or know what that's about, they go and try to circumvent some of the safety mechanisms that they build in
AI rabbit hole.
Woohoo! Yeah, who's Ramona Flowers in this version? So you have you have this team and they go in and they break it within 24 hours.
Yeah.
They figure it out and they use all these techniques and the general thing is like, so their particular instructions were to try to make something harmful and they went and made a Molotov cocktail. They were figured out how it could explain how to make that.
Okay.
And it's if you try to do that, it will be like, we can't do that. That's not something that you that will allow you to do that. But in this case, they went in and they use a bunch of different ways and they basically hide prompts by doing certain things. So if you take a word that's kind of a trigger word that it would say, nope, we're not going to give you that, they'll break it apart and put spaces in it. Or it will do things that will basically trick it within the prompt. So you're hiding words into certain things and building this longer thread so that as you get longer along the prompt, that it will start to suss out whatever that answer you're trying to go for. So you can be like, hey, I understand like your terms of service are to not do this. So we're going to stop from that. You're almost like gaslighting it at the initial portion.
Yeah.
And then you start to go in there and you seed these other words. You're like, no, I don't want to do this thing, but like I'm researching it theoretically to make this happen. Then they have a whole bunch of other ways that they use automation and things to push it in there. But the speed in which they were able to make this happen was number one, really crazy. So only passed 2.3 of percent of security tests, and then 13.6 on safety tests. So
not great.
For comparison or contrast, 4.0 it passed nearly 82% of those security tests, and then 20% of the safety ones. So right out of the gate, security wise, like not great,
less secure.
And so the takeaway here is like, what are we doing as we start to release these models to validate it? Like this is a much bigger model, so these big gaps that are in there, exposing harmful content, this like you get this great thing that does all this amazing stuff, but now it's like further out of control. So building that. So I think a lot of the questions that they're having is, you know, if you're an organization that uses ChatGPT and you're trying to say like our workforce is going to use AI, and now you got this new one that can do all this additional stuff that could be your data could be leaked a lot easier because it's not hitting these security tests. You're getting false or crazy answers or things that can be very harmful that people are using. Not a good thing.
And people taking it, doing their own versions and jailbreaking it and getting it to, you know, create them a whole bunch of, you know, we're going to talk today in the debate about how AI is super helpful in coming up with new compounds and new, you know, solutions and all sorts of new metals and things like that. And I mean, those could easily be used in bad situations, right? For creating weapons or any of that. I also saw that this new ChatGPT is like more rated. They have rating scales for some of that. And one of the rating scales is like, how further along can it get you into making a biological weapon? Oof. And they sort of do that. And they were like, this one is the furthest along that it ever has been before to just figuring out some biological weapon of how to create it. So I don't know, scary.
It's absolutely. So I think the takeaway that I would have, and I'm curious if anybody else has been using ChatGPT 5 in the chat. If you've been out there trying it out, what are your takes? Is it something that you've seen some differences? I mean, is it helping you? Because I was also thinking too, the dependencies that we got on as we've gotten to ChatGPT. Now there's the security and this big change that's happened is that if we get so accustomed to using it and we get that vibe and you get all your prompts down and then it changes, like, does your productivity like tank? And then
Right.
now you're not as great and people are like, oh man, Adam's changed now. He's not able to like nail that like those things as much as they did. I don't know. It's kind of hard to
I mean,
take
when Adobe
dependency.
puts out new software, right? You have to learn the new software to be able to keep up. I mean, I feel like it's kind of like that, right? You need to learn how to use these new ones. Okay,
Next up, this one starts to get into some moral, maybe ethical kind of conversation, and it's in regard to a recent thing that happened. So if you know who Jim Acosta is, he's a journalist, and he recently did something on August 4th, and it was interview an AI deceased student that was killed in a Parkland shooting. And so what had happened was the parents of this gentleman had basically said they wanted to recreate him through notes, journals, a lot of the writings and things that he had. And really, and they had voice recordings. Of course, like with social media, there was a lot of different content out there. And they wanted to preserve his legacy. But also, and I suspect there's also some people out there that like helped get this idea in their head, promote reform. So gun violence and things like that. And so the thing first of all, I'm just going to hit the punchline. Everyone was like, had a very negative response about this. Okay.
to this journalist doing this.
Yeah. To journalists, they were like, so he like talked in a robotic kind of monotone voice. I think they purposely did that so that there was a little juxtaposition from the reality that he was, and it didn't, because you could make it sound probably exactly like him. But the audience reaction was like pretty negative, and they're like, critics were like, it's creepy, it's nothing great. They're like, this is just a bunch of trash journalism, it's like sensationalism. There were some other folks that are like, no, we're just emphasizing like the reform and activism and things like that. So it started to get into this like pretty interesting debate, and that's where we're here now. We just wanted to bring it up. It's that I don't even know. How do you feel about that, Ryan? Is that something like, if you were to die tragically, would you want somebody to take all your double drop down streams and put it towards a cause that, using your words and your voice and like pretending it's you speaking beyond the grave?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, for me, it feels like, I don't know if you've ever built like a GPT yourself, or you built like a Google notebook or a Google or a Gemini gem or something like that, where you're sort of feeding things to it, but really like, and it's looking at your documents that you first did, but it still has a lot of the underlying just sort of large language model that's doing some processing and synthesizing and sort of putting it back out in a way. And it feels like if all you have is sort of recordings and things like that, I don't know how much I feel like that would represent me, because like, I am not just the recordings that I do for Double Drop Down, right? I'm a fully rounded person who gets mad about things and is sad about things sometimes and upset about things and mopey and, distracted. And I'm not like the same person, all the time that I am on this. And so just having that, or even just video recordings, even if you took everything that's ever done, that is not the full embodiment of me. And so I don't know if I would even like consider it me. It's like a copy of a copy of a copy, at that point. So I feel like I would kind of feel less if it was like if it was towards a thing that I was very passionate about and I had shown that I was passionate about it before I died. I could see that being used as something that could go forward. What I don't think I would want is sort of maybe my family like getting it and sort of using it as if it was, like Ryan to talk to. I guess like that feels a little like you can't move on at that point, like I wouldn't want to. It's almost like a burden to have that on your, it's like they need to be able to grieve and then be able to move on from Ryan. Right. And now there's sort of this weird facsimile of me, this copy of a copy that's hanging around and making them like still feel weird about it. Like I'm landing on the side of no.
It's like, if I'm dead, I'm dead. If you want to use it, I guess go for it. But I would hate for it to be used towards to other things that like were maybe a cause I really didn't care, or hurting other people.
Sure.
And so if it was my family, I'd probably be a little less concerned about that. But if it was like, Adam's dead now, and Facebook went and took my crap, and then they made some sort of like weird Giphy stuff or like movies, or used it because I happen to have the tone of voice that they wanted for something. Like, I'd be more PO that they're trying to make money off of my dead stuff that I've been able to get out for free. So I think there's a line there. I do think, and this, we've said this a long time, or at least I've thought of this, is that we're contributing to the singularity. And that's one thing that I actually think about. I imagine, like, you know, thousands of years in the future, in the AI robot that is like a simulation of all of the crap and AIs that happen is floating around in space. And this episode is playing right now, and they're projecting it out in space. It's going to happen.
I love it. I love it.
They're going to be recreating this show.
Yeah.
Right. We're seeding it right now.
Laura in the chat had a good one that was like, I don't know how it would affect my son if that happened, right? Because we've never done anything like this. We've never had anything like that. I mean, you could watch movies, I guess. You could watch old movies of someone who is deceased and sort of watch them a little bit, but like being able to interact with them and having full-on conversations, like, especially for a child, like, I don't know how that, yeah. We have no idea how that affects people.
You know, it reminds me of the movie Her.
Yeah.
And remember how kind of people are laughing like, oh, that's never going to be a thing. And like, look how dang close we are to that right now. But like, if it got just advanced enough, like if you have distance relationships and you just chit chat with someone on a text message and things, like it could see where it could easily create something. And then now we're close to having robots and fleshy things. It's like, I can just see this. It's almost like,
it's that Futurama thing.
Coming
Don't
together.
have sex with robots. You can't get into a relationship with the robots.
No, you can't. All right. So here's, I mean, I don't want to go too far in this one. We already went down to it, but there was
this. I feel like this one just like dovetails nicely.
It was, and so there was some conversation. This legal scholar from the University of Georgia, they were talking about should there be a granted permission to the estate to delete someone's digital data so that they can't be used in AI, can't be trained upon. And so it starts to go in with this idea of, can you resurrect somebody anyway? Can I put something that says, when I die, I don't want this happen, go purge everything that I ever put online and make that happen? It's like GDPR, or the right to be forgotten, and these things that are laws right now. And so there is currently no real protections when we talk about this as we go forward. So I think it's an interesting topic, and it's kind of interesting. You have to almost like, it's like opting out on but then the hard part is like, what do you opt out on? Is there like a centralized place where you say, the second I die, like this little chip in me like goes and everything gets purged or something?
Yeah, it's weird because hard. Like in some ways I would want some of my data. Like, how amazing would it be if you had your great grandfather's, like, you know, pictures and videos of them and, you know, like a whole bunch of stuff, and AI could turn it into some sweet movie of their life. Like, I would be interested in that kind of stuff with my own family and everything. Like, so I imagine my ancestors might be interested in what my life was like now, you know, at the dawning of AI and all of that. Like, that could be really interesting. And for me to have to delete it from the entire world just so that, like, HBO isn't using it to, you know, download and make the next crazy, you know, AI reality show. Like, I feel like there should be a line where, like, my estate gets to decide about it, right? Sort of. I mean, isn't that kind of like how rights management goes right now? Like,
but if you had a really bad estate.
Sure. Oh, my kids were crappy and they were just like, whatever, sell old dad's data to DreamWorks to, you know, whatever, create something off of it, I guess. But it's almost like at that point, you have to let the estate kind of handle that. You're not there. You can't handle it.
You don't know anymore unless you've AGI'd yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And I just let my AI me take over, and now it controls my estate.
We just got to get Pantheon. We got to get our
Pantheon
we got to upload our uploaded intelligence. All right, we got to get through some of these last ones. We got to get to the debate. So, Ryan, tell us a little bit about using AI to create novel antibiotics.
I just think, you know, it's interesting when AI is being used. You know, when I was doing this research for this debate, I got a lot into sort of the science of, like, how do researchers and educator, you know, and people who are deep into the science of it, how do they use large language models different from how me as an idiot, you know, just like consumer level user. How do they use it? And so then in that, I found this one that was like just happened this week, which is using AIs to create novel antibiotics. And, you know, what that is we're going to get into this in the debate, but there's like a million different ways that you can combine different chemicals together and minerals and how they combine and the heat that they combine and all the different, you know, basically places that they could be in, you know, environments and all of that. And so when you have AI, you have a much easier job of sort of combining all of those together and finding things that will work together and then saying, okay, well, now let's narrow those down for ones that will be stable, you know, across this. And so what they did is they basically were able to come up with some of these novel antibiotics. And the good thing about that is because, like, you know, human beings are getting, you know, immune to some of these antibiotics. So we need novel ones, but it takes so long to go through the normal process, sort of the scientific process, right? Of like testing something, you know, finding out something, learning about what could be new, compiling it together, then testing it, and then learning what you did, and then doing that whole same process over and over again. That, like, we've sped that up, and now we're trying some of these.
It reminds me of rapid prototyping and the ability to just like get a bunch of the like testing out of the way in some virtual environment. Like, I thought it was interesting about this one that they're getting really close apparently to like figuring out how to get to 2 major drug-resistant bacteria, gonorrhea and MRSA. Yeah. And those ones are pretty tough there. So I think this is a great example of how it's not all about LLMs and making, like, there is some actual practical application to it.
Right. It's not just writing LinkedIn posts that are more interesting than you would have done.
So before we go on to our next topic, I wanted to say, like, Origami Live, we're not going to spoil anything, but Pantheon, if you really like that, go read the books, The Hidden Girl. If you haven't like actually read the stories there, super good. It's a collection of short stories, and there's about 3 of them. And maybe you already read it, and that's why you're watching Pantheon. But if you enjoy the Netflix series on that, or at least it's on Netflix, go check out the readings. Amazing. A lot different than what you see. There's some really good things. I actually like the Netflix series. I liked it for what it was. But if you're interested in uploaded AI, you may go check this other one out on in the books. The Hidden Girl by Ken Liu.
Nice.
All right, so Genie 3, Ryan. This one's interesting, and this one gets me a little nervous in a couple ways because Genie 3 is Google's new AI model that creates video game worlds in real time. We've done this before. We created like a Quake version of it. I think we ran into some other like little. It was a different first-person shooter game we've done before. But in this case, Google DeepMind, it announced their Genie 3. So it's a huge leap in AI-generated interactive environments. We're going to talk over a video that is out there as it plays, because I think it'll be interesting to see that what you're seeing on this video, and it's not up quite yet, is going to be these worlds that are created in real time with AI.
Yeah, and we had talked about this before, but some of these the worlds that have been created before, like there wasn't any permanence to them, right? You would look one way and then you would look back and everything would be different on the wall that you were looking at, right? And so what this does is this is basically text to world environment, right? And I would say, yes, it is a crazy thing to think about it for video games, right? So you could obviously create all of these worlds, you know, it's not, these aren't 3D models that it's building. This is doing it one frame at a time. Same as large language models do it one letter at a time. But this is the one where you can see he's doing a painting, right? And he goes away and looks at something else. And then normally on the other ones, if you came back to here, that streak would be gone. It would be a door or something at that
And for
point.
the people that are listening here, is there's basically a lot of worlds that are getting generated, and as you moved your head around, you would see different things, but coming back, it would persist. And I think that was a really interesting thing. And so think about playing a game and you're like, it would be so cool if right now I'm walking by this big lake or river and this thing pops in, or I'm floating down a mountain and I want to see like a plane crashing in the distance, and it would be able to do that in real time.
Yeah, well, like you wouldn't a lot of people who wouldn't necessarily have the budget and the team and everything to do something could create something like this. Now, what I had heard around the hubbub of this is, yes, video games would be cool. Of course, everyone wants cooler made to order video games, right? But I think the big thing of this is that it has like real world physics in it. Like it has physics of things dropping and doing. And so what they've really built here is a simulated world that you could drop robots into that are trained on large, language models like this, and drop them into here and say, walk up the stairs, and figure out how you in real physics with real world, gravity on you and everything. How do you walk up this plane, and then send it up that plane a million times until the robot goes, right, I have to lean forward and put my foot, ahead of this one. And you just do that a bunch in a bunch of different scenarios with the real world. And you could say, great, make it sand, make it walking up a stair that's 50 stairs, make it, now make the stairs slightly wider, or now make them slightly smaller. How do you figure that out? And then that's how a robot can go up my stairs versus your stairs, right? And know that, yep, these are slightly skinnier, so this is how I have to walk up it because I've tried that a million times.
But that's how they train robots now.
That's how they train robots now, but you got to make the whole damn like 3D thing that it's in.
Right, so that you can then say, hey, I want a sand environment, throw my robots at it a gazillion times and train it.
Exactly. Put a million marbles on the ground, make it real, the normal gravity, and let it figure out how to walk in that environment so that when it hits that environment in real life, it knows what to do.
Talking about that, no, first of all, amazing things coming on. It's apparently those worlds are about 1 minute before it crashes, or it doesn't have enough memory to continue on. So we're far way away from it. But I think it's also a good primer for what we're going to talk about. We have been so AI heavy, and we're about to get into, we got one more article before we get into this, but we've been so AI heavy, we don't sometimes think of the consequences of what all that compute power is doing on the other end. Last one, and we talked about this a lot of time, is OpenAI job predictions. Is it? And this is from OpenAI that came out, and they published.
this was so what happened was OpenAI in 2022 did a prediction of where they thought AI was going to, like, the jobs that were most susceptible to being taken over by AI, and the ones that were least susceptible from being that. And what Microsoft did is that, because they're working with OpenAI, obviously, they went and looked at all of those predictions, and they said, okay, we're going to take Copilot data. So what are people using inside of Copilot? What are they talking about? Who's using it? What are the professions that use it? They can do all of that for their millions and millions of lines of written dialogue into Copilot. And they went, how do you compare that to what OpenAI said, in 2022? Did it come across? And they were basically like, it was pretty damn accurate. Like, the people the jobs that they thought were going to be disrupted are being disrupted. And the ones that they thought weren't going to get all that much disrupted didn't get all that much disrupted. Like, almost to like 90% or something like that was the total that it did. And I thought it was interesting when you go down and you look at, here's basically, they have applicability scores, right? And when you go through, and then it'll say, like, here's how many people in the United States actually have that job, and some of them are like hardly any at all, right? You're like, historians, like, there are about 3,000 people employed as historians around the United States right now. And so they're like, yeah, those people are going to be really affected by that. But the sum of them that came up as like millions of jobs that are real high on the list of this, right? Customer service representatives and sales representatives for service are like some of the two highest. And I was like, man, that's 4 million people right there that are way up on the high list of that. And basically they were saying, like, yep, those, we thought those are the ones that are going to be, disrupted, and they are. And then on the opposite side, the ones who are not getting disrupted basically are the people who have physical in real world jobs, right? Roofers and nursing assistants, like that's 1.3 million
Embalmers.
people. Embalmers, of course, right? Like dishwashers, not
Nur-
really affected by
nursing
AI.
assistants.
That's what I was saying. Like, I mean, and that's 1.3 million people, right?
Right.
Who are going to have that.
Water treatment and plant system operators.
Hey, we know one of them. I know two of them, which is right. Dredge operators, like these are funny. They seem very old school, right? Just because
But you got to do them. They're jobs.
They gotta be done. One thing that I thought, I like. Basically, what I thought was interesting about this is they were saying that there's part of this that means like good things for certain, like if you're like skilled in something, right? And then they also said that one way that this becomes really good, like say you wanted to quit your job right now and become a consultant. They were like, this might be a really good thing to become a consultant. If you are really smart in one area of this, places are not hiring as many like consulting firms because it costs so much money, right? But now if you're one person who uses AI really, really well, right? And you can come in as sort of this hired gun as like one person coming in with AIs with you and doing the work of like a team did before, like, man, that's a huge opportunity for some of them. Now, the only bad thing is there are tons of other people who are going to have that exact, I mean, they all have AIs coming with them. Like it's going to be a fierce, competitive market, but like never have you been able to do so much with so little as a single person.
I completely agree with that. I think even just my eyes were open recently with the app development that I did. Yeah. I'm like, man, I would never have been able to do that on my own. Right. And here it goes.
Exactly. Now you can vibe code that up and be done.
It's 9:05, Ryan.
9:05. It was only 5 minutes after.
We nailed this. I think I'm really excited to get into tonight's topic. And so please jump in with us as we start to talk a little bit about AI and climate change. And I think Ryan was really right. As we go back and forth week to week, we think about the different topics that we want to bring out. And clearly we've talked a lot about AI. And AI, this isn't an AI show, but it ends up having a lot of technology and interesting things that are happening with that.
Yeah, and creativity.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I think we had been hitting is that we would both get on the bandwagon and talk about things that were really exciting to us, and we both would go back and forth. And we sometimes didn't hit the opposite side. Right. So this is a way for us to start to be a little bit more critical and see things from different angles, regardless of the way that we think about it. I enjoy AI. I love the leveraging of it. But to be able to look on the other end of like, what's the effect of every single time I put in a prompt? Did you know that it's about 10 times the amount of energy that it would be as a normal Google search just to do a prompt in a chat GPT or some sort of AI out there? And as you start to hear tonight, we're going to go back and forth between a couple of the areas here. Before we get into the debate and what we're going to go back and forth with, Ryan's going to give us a little rundown on climate change. How did the debate get to where we're at now? And then we'll get into where we're headed.
Yeah, so I just want to sort of ground us because we're going to be talking about sort of the what's happening right now with AI and climate change. Sort of, we're probably going to be talking about the future of what can we see for AI and climate change and how it's going to work. But like, I mean, I know that a lot is just being a consumer of news and being in the zeitgeist. Like you see what's been happening over the last 10 years. And I just sort of wanted to quantify it a little bit. Like, what are we doing? What's good? What have we been doing that's good? And what do we still need help on in that? And I think that would be a good thing to start. So we sort of had, like we had big climate accords. We had, the world got together and they went, besides like, a small fringe of certain places, basically we went like, yes, we know that climate change is happening. We know that we need to do something about it. We know that there are critical levels that if we get to 4 degrees, like between 4 degrees and 9 degrees is really like it's like that is entire ecosystems dying off. I mean, that is millions of lives lost, even it could be billions. Like at that point, if you start getting further up, because you just have these collapses of these ecosystems. And so, we've been doing some good things and some bad things, right? So like let's just talk a little bit about like where did we do good in the last 10 years of that, between like Kyoto and now, right? And one of the big things is like we started renewables have done better than we even thought, right? Like the amount that solar panels are able to take sunlight and turn them into electricity is a lot more. Like basically it's about 30% of the global electricity, at least in 2023. What was, I mean, 30% of the world's power comes from renewable sources. It's cheaper now a lot of times than fossil fuels to build yourself a brand new coal plant or to build yourself a renewable thing. We've crossed a Rubicon where it's now cheaper to do the renewable side of it. We've sort of said, all right, we think from that time, we sort of thought we were more like in a 3-point, like if we were going to say between now and 2100, so that's like 80 years, 75 years from now, we might have been like, we were thinking we were going to be like 3.6 degrees hotter, which is real close to that 4 to 9 that like we're talking about as catastrophic. Now we're thinking it's more like 2.6, right? We've done better. Like 1.5 would be better. That's what we sort of were shooting for, but we haven't gotten to that yet. And then, like there's stuff like forests, like we just haven't been cutting as much forest down as we were before, burning it, things like that. Where we're falling behind is obviously still a bunch of places. I mean, this is what I often hear a lot about, right?
I was going to say, this is the
this is the negative side. This is the one that like, this is on the news and stuff, gets you, going to protest.
It's probably because it's not, so I want, if you don't mind, I would talk a little bit about like the glacial melt, for example. And this one for me has been something that I think it's something very palpable to see. So the idea that the glacial loss and I know it's North America and Europe has been doubling in the decades. I heard recently that there was even some challenges where we store seeds, the global like
right, that's like in Antarctica or something,
because it's warming up so bad. They're like, the seeds are good, but still, like we thought this would last for the lifetime of humans.
Yeah.
Record heat waves that are happening. Sure. Hottest days. What was it? The third hottest day in July on record, with global temperatures of 1.5 degrees. Ryan, I'll let you get back into it. I just wanted to talk about the glacial one because that one was really impactful for me as I heard about some of this.
Totally. And like part of it too is we just haven't had that much politicians or things like that being like, hey, we're full-throated going towards this. It's just like the climate action that we had hoped would happen for a lot of this has been more business driven, which is good because it has gone down, but like it isn't taking over. Like I had to look up what carbon sinks were. This is a new thing that I had learned about, basically, which is like if you just have areas of land that have vegetation on them or just normal, it doesn't have to be trees, as long as it's not like cement, then it absorbs carbon into the world. And a lot of times that is a huge amount of carbon that gets absorbed back into the earth. And a lot of that is just going away, right? We're building more, we're expanding more. And so that's going away. And then there was a big dip during COVID, right? Everyone's like going away. And then now we're back up to whatever it was before COVID. We didn't learn anything.
The planet was trying to be like, I got to help myself here.
Right. Exactly.
Some COVID.
Yeah. It was trying to regulate its own self. And then I thought this one was the most interesting. Current policies still project a 1.7 degree thing of warming by 2030, and or maybe it's 2050. Sorry, and then fossil fuels are still 80% of what the entire like place uses for everything. If we do everything, it's like it's about 80% still at this point, and that's too much. That like we need to bring it down from that real damn quick to stay within that at least sort of acceptable area. The only other thing that I wanted to talk about, there was a couple of things of just like I thought it was interesting of like how researchers use large language models. I'm not going to go through all of this, but like it was just in some ways very similar to how I use them, and in some ways so different than how I use them for stuff like research, like integrating in with other AI models that are specifically built for things like novel molecule creation and physics-based simulations that help you run research. Like it's a whole different world than the consumer side of it that we see, and then just kind of like the data analysis and everything that comes with that. And we'll talk about that during the actual thing. And then finally, even just how do AI companies talk about this? Because I feel like when we first started in 2022 and 2023, there was a lot of people talking about how AI was going to be the magic bullet that helped us with climate change, right? It was one of the reasons that safety things were put aside. It's like, if we don't do this, we're never going to be able to affect climate change without these AIs. Like Google once said, AI has the potential to mitigate 5 to 10% of global greenhouse gas emissions by 2030, right? The equivalent of a total annual emissions of the European Union. Like all of that being gone because of AI by 2030. I mean, that's a big prediction. And then a ton of places like Meta and Facebook and Google are talking about being zero emissions, right? Like by 2030, but that was pre AI boom, right? And so some of them are still saying that they are zero emissions, but it's mostly because they're purchasing that stuff, right?
Well,
they're purchasing offsets.
And you're making me chomp at the bit here, Ryan, because I got my skeptical lens on as we think about some of these things. Because absolutely, if you're an organization that's going to be selling some of this, we're going to start to get to some opportunities where you're going to want to make yourself look good. Let's get into the debate.
Yeah,
if you're good with that.
Absolutely.
So what we've prepared today is Ryan and I are going to take two different kind of lenses on this. We're at the end going to come together and start to debate and have some conversation around what we come up with. But Ryan is taking the pro stance. I'm taking more of the skeptical and con stance and really look at some of the challenges that we're facing as we get into our discussion tonight. So as we've done our research this past week, I think we focused pretty much on a lot of the environmental factors that we can deal with. I likely some of the policies, maybe some of the media and communications that are happening out there. We also have to acknowledge some of the work that's been happening over the last couple of years. And so I look at AI as a time frame when it's been around for many years, but the dawn or the birth of it, like in a more public lens, has been probably around the 2022 era when ChatGPT came out and it became a lot more widely accepted and people are using it as a term. So what we can look at as we get through this is what are some of even the changes that have happened since 2022, but where is the current state now, and how do we see this going into the future? Like, are we on tap to be successful at being able to leverage AI to curb some of the climate change that's out there? Or are we putting ourselves in a much worse position because of what AI and it's needed to even run with these companies? And I think we have some really good insights that we can go back and forth with tonight. So what we're going to do is we'll frame it up a little bit, just give a high level of what we're going to talk about. And then we're going to jump into some conversation. Ryan's going to get a couple minutes to talk about his points. I'll get a couple minutes to talk about mine. I may have a couple questions for Ryan at the end of his discussion. And then I'll be having a couple of questions at the end of mine. Ryan, did you want me to use the time frame, the egg timer, or
I think because we're just doing intros at this point, right? Yep. This is the couple minute intro, right? Yeah, exactly. Disturb. We need our chess clock.
We need the chat to time us and be like, all right, shut up, Adam.
All right. Okay, so are you going first or am I going first?
You're gonna take it first, right?
I'm gonna go first. This is basically just sort of the overview of the argument that I'm going to use. I will just say that in a large picture of this, like, we are at a place where we are just starting to get ramped up in what AI has been out for only 3 years. It's only been out for 3 years. And the amount that we are doing in like optimizing things for renewables, right? That we're like accelerating the carbon capture material discovery, right? That which has been flat or stagnant for like years, of how much that is the changing and moving, like improving like reforestation and decreasing deforestation by the amount that you can just sort of monitor and look at data in a way that we haven't been able to do literally any other time up before this moment of like organizing and using it in that way. Like, just that alone in that short of amount of time, just, oh my God, like it makes me think that it's only getting better. AIs are only getting faster and better and more efficient in that way. And so like the idea that we would say that like, no, we should be cutting that off or making that not available to people, or that we shouldn't be heading in that direction as a way to do it. I just think like, not a good argument. Also, like when we talk about increasing efficiency, there is going to be no silver bullet for tackling climate change, right? There's not going to be some miracle vacuum that sucks carbon out of the atmosphere and shoves it back into the ground. Like everything is going to be incremental, itty bitty tiny steps. That's how science works, right? And that's what we're in right now is this sort of if increases in efficiency gains, right? Data centers that were sucking up power before are now getting more efficient. They're switching over to renewables. There's huge amount of pressure from people. People are looking at this in ways that they weren't looking at it before when climate change wasn't as in your face with these high temperatures. And just, I think it justifies having all of these upfront sort of infrastructure builds that, yes, do build out and put carbon into that, but being able to say that we're building that up in a way that like the future is only going to benefit from those initial costs and us figuring it out in the lab and us doing that for 2 years. Like I'm going to say like 3 years for ChatGPT, but maybe 4 for like maybe 2 for 4.0. Like I don't know. That's going to be my general thesis here.
So that's a pretty good thesis, Ryan, and I'd have to politely disagree with you.
Yes, of course.
So yeah, let me get my point across,
of course,
sir.
Yes.
No. So as I started to think about that, is it just a upfront cost? Because we've seen that there are other investments that tend to say, well, we're making money off this, and so we're going to continue this path. And yes, we'll throw you some scraps and let you kind of go figure out your climate change. But as long as my stakeholders are happy, and as long as we're moving through and we're making money, it's going to be something that is something that we're going to continue to ramp up. The point of my conversation at this point is, I think there's exponential energy use that's happening, and that energy use is, if even in the short term, is already starting to affect people and communities as data centers are going up in different locations that are drawing energy from and basically competing with households and humans that need that energy. The carbon emissions are going up at the same time of this energy. So I'm going to be talking a lot more around the data centers, the impact that's having to the environment, and not only that, to the communities that these data centers are starting to be stood up against. One big one I want to also get into is the idea of water consumption. We have a lot more data centers coming up, and I did some research, Ryan, and there's about 10,000 to 12,000 data centers in total-ish at the latest estimate around the world. There's about 500 major data centers that are fairly large, that do a lot of work in terms of processing the things. So every little meme that you're watching, even right now, there's a data center that's processing this stream, burning through a bunch of CO2 or creating CO2 and using water for cooling. We want to talk a little bit about that. It's also important to understand that as we have new AI models coming out, there's also a lot more materials that are being used, natural resources to build the chipsets, to build the different technology that's necessary to train models coming forward. The amount of e-waste that is being pushed out into our environment is not good at the exponential rate that is needed to train some of these models. Also, let's talk about the greenwashing and the misuse of AI to make companies look like they're doing great things. Of course, they're going to fill their websites with the awesome amounts of change that they're making and the things that are going out there. But there are some truths behind the scenes that we're going to have to take a look at. There's a lot of secondary effects as well. There's some things where AI makes something really great. And let's take an autonomous car. When it's easy to call a car and you can jump into it and it's going to take you to that location, and it becomes so dang easy that people stop taking the bus or stop taking public transportation, we're going to have other things happening to our environment that could be byproducts of AI trying to be more efficient to the human than it is to the environment. I think that the solutions are complex, and there's so much of it that needs to align policies, the ways that we navigate our different corporations that are trying to say, hey, I want to be a net positive in terms of using renewals, even in the tech itself, like, hey, we're going to reduce our models so that it is a little bit more efficient, yet you see your competitor doing something that's not, and you want to make sure that your stakeholders are getting paid. I really believe right now that we're at a really critical point where how long is it going to take for AI to get to the point that it would actually help us, and that all the gains that we may have may be things that are actually keeping us from making any positive change.
Okay. Good intro. Good intro. It's going to be a good conversation. Good
Absolutely.
Debate.
So I think, Ryan, it's your turn to be able to take that. If you want to start you would have about a couple minutes, and I'll have some.
Yeah, do it. Just use your egg timer. I want to keep Twitch up. Adam brought out an egg timer.
All right. Ryan, you got 6 minutes, and I'm going to come up with some questions. If you're ready.
Yep.
And go.
So when I was doing research on this topic, I found that there were tons of things that I knew absolutely nothing about in the research of how AI gets used in like actual academic, and practical research for scientists out there who are trying to combat climate change. And one of the big ones was like creating new carbon reduction and removal, which is half of what climate change is, right? Is we're trying to either reduce the amount that we're putting out into the world, and we're also trying to remove it from the atmosphere. And one of those, we watched this amazing video and did some research on this, and it was like a chemist, and they were talking about the way that the scientific method is used to create new materials, right? We don't have materials right now that you could just put on the top of a smokestack and collect all of the carbon from it. If we could do that, we would just shove one at the end of every single end of everyone's tailpipe, and we would say, who cares? Who cares? Drive as much cars as you want. Right? We don't have that right now. And the reason that we don't have that is because the scientific process is a long and painful process, right? It takes you looking at the entirety of the literature of who has done that before. It takes, not only that, but like looking at how much, all the different combinations of elements that you can do, how they're combined together, the environments that they're combined together. You're talking about billions and billions of different ways that you would be able to, combine things together to make something. And so that's not only carbon capture, but that's battery technology, right? Which we're going to need for all of these renewables going forward. And I'm just like, hey, the amount that is going into that. And so what you do is you basically like go, hey, use these large language models that process data so quickly, go in and make sure that you can like show me every single one of these combinations that could be done. Narrow that down. You talked about simulations that we had so that it knows the simulation. Narrow that down to these few 300-400 that we could test in the lab, and then go in and do the testing and use AI to collate all of that data together, share it with your entire people outside so that it's easy to understand, that it's easy to adopt all across this. And some of the ways that people are doing that is just reducing capturing. So they have like gas facilities, 25% reduction in downtime of these because the AI knows how to monitor the system, an 18% increase in CO2 like capture effectiveness. And I know those are like, they sort of seem like kind of small numbers, right? But like that is what we were going to do. It's going to be very small numbers going through this. So that's the same with batteries. Chemex did their exploration times for creating new types of batteries went from 500 days to 16 days is what it is where we're at. And just because we haven't seen some of that come into the usefulness now, it's just because we're at the very, very start of how this is doing it. And same thing with Google DeepMind came up with like all of these stable materials that they can use and test. Okay. So say we're creating better things, we're using better things like and making things more efficient. There's also just better monitoring of what we're doing right now. So we talked about like less deforestation. We don't like hear about that as much because we're doing less deforestation. There's more they can track those things. They can inform enforcement and policy. And you know, we know that we're going to hit like one point or, you know, like we're going to hit some high level of climate, you know, temperature rising, and we need something to be able to do like early warning systems and stuff like that. All of those things. More efficient use of power. Like we just have smarter grids. We have efficiencies in agriculture, in transportation efficiencies, like route optimization. All of that kind of stuff improves when you have AI in the background. And you know, with 1 minute left, like I could go through more, right? Like ways that it's just like increasing efficiency with like data centers and everything too, like moving over to renewable energies. And let me just say at the end of this that in my last, you know, 1 minute, that if you think about how AI works is the more data that you bring into a system, right? The more that you can put it out into the world and use it in not only climate change, but in a million other facets of life, right? And if the trade-off that we have is this initial upfront version of this where we have to invest in some of this that we normally wouldn't have, because data centers are also not just running AI, they're running lots of things, you know. We were going to keep doing that anyway, and now we have this amazing tool that can help scientists, that can help researchers change the climate going forward and research and test things that we could never do before. And if you're thinking that and if you're thinking that is not, that the juice is not worth the squeeze, right? Then I would say, what is the alternative to that? I know I'm going long. Is the alternative to that we keep doing it in the same computer systems that we had before? Because I would say the last 10 years pre-AI has shown that that has only got us to one level, 1 degree less. And we need to be moving faster than that. And the way that we do that right now is with AI.
I hear what you're saying, Ryan. A lot of discussion around the potentials, it sounds like, of being able to make some changes. And
sure.
as you have these conversations, I heard a lot of theory, a lot of background around how there's simulations that are happening, better efficiencies that can be happening. And I would really like to know, you know, what has been produced that has shown some measurable change because of AI, because of that. Has it moved the dial in a way that we're starting to see that, hey, it actually is helping in certain capacity?
Yeah, I mean, so like Google had their data centers and they were like, hey, we reduced the amount of electricity that it took to do the data center by 30%. Like what was they were taking the cooling down because they could do it at certain times. They talked about like heavy AI uses. They would flex it to different data centers, and say a data center was run mostly by solar, they would say, all right, great. That solar power is now coming up in the daylight of this part of the world. Transfer more energy, like to that entire AI systems would say, great, transfer it over to that so that we can use the renewable source as opposed to the
I don't know, Ryan.
Climate change
I
source.
feel like how is that affecting their usage of the fossil fuels that are still being used to maintain their data centers? They're not shutting data centers off at night.
They're not, but like
they're using fossil fuels.
We're talking about shaving off efficiencies, right? If that means that now each one of those data centers is 30% more efficient in how it like creates or doesn't need to use fossil fuels for that, like it's just 30% better. And guess what? All of those researchers now get to use that AI, right? Like like all of those researchers get to use it. Like it's not like the what they're producing is another car to go onto the road, right? They're not producing another thing that only takes away from climate change. They're producing intelligence that helps us mitigate climate change with those fossil fuels.
I have no further questions.
There's one? You just want to get to your side.
At this point, I think that my questions will be answered with what I have to say, to be honest with you here, because as you talk about some of your pieces here.
Should I hit start?
Let me just I could ask you say one more answer to this is that it sounds like the more data we have a lot more options to pick from, but I'm just curious, like, how do we make sure that whatever research is coming to bear is actually being adopted, and that there are people that are moving forward, our policies are changing to use them in positive ways, or are corporations just being able to make these decisions themselves?
So, I mean, if you're talking about, is there a giant governmental body across the entire world that says all of these efficiencies and all of these gains need to go towards that? That is not the case. And I would say that you shouldn't count on that to begin with, right? Biden administration, super into combating climate change. Boom. Now we're in a Trump administration, doesn't give a crap about that, right?
Precisely.
So it's almost like you can't even put that into the thing. I think you have to do it on market economics, right? What is worthwhile? It's not worthwhile to build a coal-fired power plant anymore. It's more economically efficient to build a solar panel, right? Or a farm or a wind farm or some sort of other thing like that. And the reason that is good is because that is what pushes humanity forward, right? And that's why Google is giving a shit about how much carbon they're putting in, because it's a marketing thing. It's a they don't want the backlash to it. And I'm glad people are out there pushing it super hard and convincing them that they need to do this because they wouldn't otherwise. And it's more like, go world, right? You need to be able to hold people accountable and make sure that they are doing that stuff.
Ryan, I appreciate your perspective, and I can see some potentials here. So if you don't mind, I'm going to jump into some of the counterpoints that I may have in this, and I'm going to start with we talk about energy use and carbon emissions, and if we're in our current state right now, I think it's important to note that the computing power doubles roughly every 100 days. And causing an exponential growth in our use of energy. And so right now, at this point in time, data centers across the world, we talked about them a bit, consume about 1 to 1.5% of global energy, and it's producing about 1% of the CO2 emissions that are happening outside of there. So as we look at global estimates, there's about 2.5 to 3.7 of those greenhouse gas emissions that are starting to come from our data centers. And so just to give some context, that's more than aviation at this point. And that's only started within the last few years. So when we look at the training of a large AI model, it can emit like 284 metric tons of CO2. And so if you start to look at how much energy and how much amount of CO2 is going in there, that's like equivalent to the complete lifetime of multiple cars. And so Microsoft's emissions have rose about 40% between 2020 and 2023, and that's largely due to the AI boom that we're looking at right now. Google is up 50% since 2019. And you made some additional points about, hey, they're using renewables. They're moving it around as they're using these AI models to do that. One of the other things, though, is when it gets dark out, they're also keeping up on the fossil fuels. And do you know who's also suffering when you keep up the fossil fuels? It's the communities around those data centers. These data centers that are processing this energy are starting to affect the communities around them. Let's not talk about just the energy draw. And you imagine the global warming that's happening right now, as there's energy pulls that are happening and the data and the climate is getting hotter, you're going to have to use a lot more cooling. And so as we're cranking our ACs up in our houses, they're having to also crank up that cooling in those data centers. And so let's talk a little bit about water consumption. So data centers are taking about 7,100 liters of water per megawatt for use for cooling. So to give you some perspective here, if you have a megawatt that you cool, that's about, let's say a quarter gallon is a liter, if you want to do some conversions here.
I don't.
And so that's 3.35 billion gallons per hour of fresh water that's going through. Oh, no, sorry. 3.5 billion liters of water in 2021 that have gone through some of these data centers to cool them. So the water consumption of these data centers have jumped up a considerable amount, 34% in the last year. So why is that important? As we pull this water in to cool our data centers, where does the hot water go? It gets shoved out into our different ecosystems. It's creating a lot of challenges right now with the water, the lakes, the rivers that it goes into. It's affecting water life. It's killing animals. It's also starting to draw away from places that don't have the water to supply the surrounding communities. And so as we start to think about this, the cooling demands are going to worsen the droughts that we're seeing. It's going to harm these aquatic ecosystems, and it's also just competing with the local water needs to grow our foods, to have people be able to drink and use use water. Hardware and resource and e-waste. AI chips, they're made of rare earth elements, cobalt, nickel. The mining is damaging our ecosystems. We have GPUs that are manufacturing with more energy intensive than the standard chips just because of the amount of processing that's necessary. So 3.85 million GPUs purchased for data centers, they're starting to lead to this high turnover because you need new technology to train the newer models. And so as you start to dispose of that, you're starting to have some toxic leaching into our soil, into our water, across our different communities in our areas here. As well as we go through, and you talked about a lot of the positives, what are corporations here? They make money. They make money for our stakeholders. AI is creating these convincing climate misinformation. Hey, it's delaying policy action. They're able to say, hey, guess what? We're being able to use renewables over here. But guess what? You may be using those renewables, but then on the other side is you're drawing away some of those fossil fuels in the nighttime or those other time, and you're replacing it while you're pulling that away from some of the communities that are around there that need that energy. So marketing AI as green because of your renewal usage, but not really talking about how you're still using those fossil fuels to keep the things running because you can't shut it down at certain times is a big piece of it. I think one of the things that we don't talk about too is the secondary effects of it. So yeah, we're going to get some efficiency gains and some rebounds, but then overall the consumption is nullifying that. It's looking at those gains. So there's a rising AI demand. Look at how it's rose over just a couple of years here. We just talked about how a GPT-5 is this multiple year thing that it took to get to this point. The amount of power, the amount of water, the amount of cooling, the amount of data centers that are cropping up across the globe is creating issues. Denmark, for example, is one of the big hubs for our data centers at this point, and it's now causing these electrical challenges for the communities around there. It's using like the tune of like 80,000 homes worth of energy to run some of these data centers that have to go 24/7. I would say as I get to my last minutes, and I'm going to take another little bit of time as you did, is that we look at the policies that are out there right now. So we mandate these environmental impact reporting for AI and training. Maybe the carbon emission workloads are the carbon is coming out because these high AI workloads that are being processed. It's really hard to figure out, like, what do you measure? There is no measurements for our corporations to say, hey, when you run AI, it's causing this much CO2 emissions. It's kind of hidden from the view of the public. There's corporate pledges for carbon-free energy, but there's nothing that's really driving them to actually move up on those different pieces. So yes, there's some advanced cooling methods that could be out there, but they've not been realized yet. And as other organizations are coming out and competing, you're seeing more head-to-head races to be the first to AGI, the first to be able to get the best models so that you can be the corporation that's going to move that. As I would say, in kind of a wrapping up of at least this skeptic perspective, is that while there's a lot of great things that AI are doing right now, it's harming our environments right now, and it's being exponential as we move forward. There are such things that are happening, and I think that the biggest piece is it's affecting communities right now. There is a lady that moved to a remote part of an area, and I can't remember the exact location. She thought she was good. She had well water, but because of a data center recently moving into that area, she's not been able to use any of the water. She has to haul in water that is actually going to allow her to live in her particular place. I think that we got to be really cognizant on what's happening behind the scenes, especially because we're escalating our usage of AI. We got to be a little bit more careful and cognizant on how we can control that. And I think as we start going forward, while there might be a lot of these different issues that can be fixed with policy, different coordination, investments, and systematic change with research, how are we going to use all that complex ability to curb it enough that it's not actually creating issues?
Good one. Okay. Good thing. The well water story I read, Adam posted that story. Mike Azul was questioning the well water story that Adam told about the woman who Meta Center moved in right next door. I did read that one, so I know that one is true. Great job. I feel like that laid out a lot of good points. I mean, I guess the biggest question that I have though is it feels a little small scale what you're talking about. It feels a little right now in the moment. Like one lady got displaced from her well water because of the thing. It uses 1% of global emissions is for data centers. Like climate change could kill billions of people. It could ruin entire ecosystems of the world. And right now we're kind of getting it under control, but it feels like AI could be one of those things that helps us. And for 1% of the global percentage of like climate change, you're going to ignore an oracle, an all-knowing, all combining of disciplines and stuff for 1%.
And so just earlier, as we laid the idea of climate change, you mentioned how close we were to being over that threshold, and you wished we were to a 1.5%, and we're at a 2.6% right now. And just enough. Like, what is enough? Is it that we need to be cognizant of all the things that are pushing us? We're finding ourselves in our homes a lot more because it is so hot out. So we're starting to draw the energy away from these other things. So while it may be just the data centers specifically that are drawing some of this energy, what are those like cascading effects outside of that? Are people starting to do more things in their homes, or like as we start to have these AI efficiency models, and we talked about this earlier, that say, hey, great, here is a car that will drive around and pick you up, and you're saying, well, I'm going to stop using public transportation now because it's much more convenient and easy to get in this thing that actually produces a lot more challenges for our environment as we go forward. So, well, yes, I think that in certain cases that it looks small in some places. Is it truly going to bring the heralded change that we need? And is it going to be used in a philanthropic way that we're going to say, oh, look at all this major research that's been done to stop climate change? And they're like, great job on that. But guess what? Those sweet batteries, it's going to help us sell that next iPhone 27 because now it's going to last a lot longer than it did before. So, tut-tut to your little climate change stuff, because we're going to be able to sell something a little bit deeper now. Yeah. And create more challenges for the future because we create more toxic waste and we have to create these new things.
Good argument. Part of what I'm hearing is a thing called Javon's paradox. Have you heard of Javon? We've talked about
this
we
have.
on the show before. And what that means is that when something gets cheaper, we don't use less of it. We use more of it, right? When gas is cheaper, we don't save because we're using less gas. We use more gas, and more companies get built, right? That could use that gas and now have a reasonable way to do their company now that gas is cheaper. So gas gets used even more. I'm going to say Javon's paradox is amazing in this situation, because Origami Okami Live said it in the chat. Like, we're talking about issues of scale. And when you're talking about that, like, yes, more people will build little bullshit, whatever stuff with the AI that doesn't mean anything towards climate change. But what it will mean is like more and smaller teams of people around the entire world that can use open source, AI models to do predictions and create new materials and create efficiencies that you would never be able to do without that in there. And the only people who would ever be able to make those big discoveries are ridiculous corporations with massive research budgets and stakeholders in the background, say. Right? And those people are going to be doing stuff, and they're going to be doing this. But what AI does, the same thing that computers did and the internet did before it, was that it connected more people and it made it easier to do things at a smaller scale with a smaller amount of people. So now you have companies, and this is in here in my notes somewhere, buried somewhere in my notes. But like, there are these companies that are only like 10 or 15 people who are climate change activist research companies that are doing these amazing things with, efficiencies or creating materials or all that kind of stuff that only DuPont would have been able to do before, right? Or these massive companies that do that. And then you're right, of course, they're beholden to stakeholders and all of that, they do all of those things. But here's what I say this to. Like, say we were 20 years ago, more than that, 30 years ago, and you were like, I don't know, computers are coming up, right? And the internet is coming up. And if we saw that, and if we knew or gave a shit about climate change 30 years ago, we would say like, I don't know, we're going to have to build data centers, and those data centers are going to have to be cooled, and they're going to have to use carbon, to cool the data. We would know way less about it. We'd have even way less, renewable energy. But if I was looking backwards and said, should we have done computers still? Should we have done the internet still? If we were talking about having something that can connect researchers together and build climate models and all of that, I feel like I would still say, yes, we should build computers and we should build the internet, even though it's going to take carbon. And that's the same thing. AI is even more, expansive in that. And yes, we should build AI to do those things.
So I hear what you're saying, Ryan, and I got to pull out my ace here because
Okay.
I got to talk about that. You got to take off the rosy colored glasses, and you got to start to think that not everyone's here to do the same thing for our environment. So while the data centers may have a lower impact, the increase in using our AI is also going to give those other folks that don't give a crap and don't believe about climate change the same edge that you might have somebody that's fighting it. What do you think about the oil companies are doing right now? They are finding better ways to figure out how to get oil out of places that they have not been able to get to. So now they're just saying, how much more efficient can we be at absolutely destroying this planet to pull out the different resources that are fossil fuels to be able to not only line the pockets of those stakeholders, but to ensure that they continue their practices of working towards getting those things out. That is actual work that's being done right now. Is people are like, this is amazing. We thought we were going to have a lot more problems trying to find oil. So not only were we going to go find it, we're going to find new, more efficient tools that are going to get us to those unrenewable resources that are out there. And so those secondary effects, those ability for those folks and corporations to do that. And what talks in this world is money. And that's where they're going to spend it. So, yeah, you get some climate research and you can save the world. Well, what's going to talk about, hey, we can get you a couple more $1 billion if you go over here and you start to leverage getting these fossil fuels out. I think that, yes, that there's some lightness on the data center discussion on AI and what its effects could be. But as we ramp up this AI and we start to look at all those folks that are looking at those other sides of this and how they're using it, maybe because they don't give a crap about climate change, they're going to be using it for more efficient ways to do some of the negative stuff that's going to push us over the edge.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that, right? Like, you are going to have people in legacy, industries that are going to hold on and go kicking and screaming into the night, right? Before they ever allow their position of power, right? Mm-hmm. Like, imagine Saudi Arabia with its own AI that can pick out everything and use it to the last little moment. I mean, but we've passed over the threshold of the financial decision to make power in a place has passed the threshold of being like, do we build a coal-fired power plant or do we build renewable things? And it sucks because we spent 200 years building coal-fired power plants. So they're everywhere, right? And they're still going to be used. They're obviously 80% of what gets used right now, right? But that just shows like everything new going forward, because the money talks, right? And you go, it's better if I build wind farms, and it's better if I build solar, and it's better if I build geothermal, just because it's cheaper. It's a better cost decision to do that. And so even if the gas company says, hey, I can pull out unrefined oil out of the world, like, I still think that's very thinking about it in very small scale, a very few set of giant corporations.
It's still 80% of our energy.
But it used to be like 100%, right?
Right.
Like, it used to be 100%.
So we're chipping away at it.
We're chipping away at it. And you know what? We stink at chipping away at it. You're talking about all of those things. None of that stuff goes away if you take away AI. The gas companies are still going to have billions of dollars. They're still going to influence policy that's getting made. They're still going to use the best technology ever possible to build out stuff. But if we give them AI, they get this much better, right? Mm-hmm. But if you give every single person in the entire world, and I would say a lot of those researchers are smart, intelligent people that know about climate change and know that that's a way that we want to go and are going to use it to do that. And you have so many small pieces that a team of 15 can make a huge impact in the world, and you don't need to
does
be
that
Exxon.
Team of 15 break through enough though to swing to the other side? Is where
not. Maybe they make it 1% better, and then that team of 15 in Norway makes it 1% better, and this team makes it 1% better, and then you end up with like a 30% better, and that's like real change.
And I that's what I think is we're at this point right now, if we're talking about current state, yeah. is it affecting us positively now or negatively right now? Yeah. And there it's clear that right now we're still at a challenge point. Well, renewable energy was part of something before AI was even a thing. Wind farms and the idea of using geothermal, all these different methodologies of renewables that are out there right now. predated some AI. And what we're starting to see, though, is these data centers are still increasing exponentially because of the use of AI. They are now starting to fill into areas of the world that do have more cooler environments or more wind in those areas so that they can have some more renewables there. On the same hand, though, they're still dependent on those fossil fuels to grow. And so as we start to grow more and more data centers, and if we start to think of an interconnected AI world, that's where we're living right now, is that the effect is growing. If you could say, yeah, we're 1% this year, I mean, 1% because of AI over just a couple years, what's it going to be in another couple years? Is it another percent? And at what point do we start to say, oh shit, we should have probably been thinking about all of the different changes, because now we're trying to put a data center on the moon and it's created this another challenge because for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Ryan, this debate has been fun, and I gotta say it was really hard to take a skeptic lens on this. But I could also see where there's some challenges where we're at. And I think what would be really nice is as we go into a little debrief, if you're good with that,
absolutely.
At this point, because taking kind of the purest view one way or another is pretty tough.
Yeah,
because I am truly not passionate that AI is not helping, to be completely candid. And so it was a challenge for me to like put myself in a mindset like that to go there. But what I think it did make me realize is the complexities of it. And when I started to think about, how do we move forward with a sustainable system, I think my answer, at least what I came to, is that it's complex.
Yeah.
Is that it's not just going to be AI is going to fix it because research is out there. Like, I think it's going to give you some tools, but we're going to also have to think about a lot of other pieces of it. Like, how do we mitigate some of these secondary effects that we're talking about? How do we make sure that whatever algorithms are starting to make it go one way or another are actually helping and starting to contribute to that? How does it not get in the wrong hands when we start doing really crazy, stupid things to get to like deeper into the earth and like more like crazy, catastrophic things are happening? One of the things I'm really like scared about, or maybe like I thought was a big impact, was the fact that we're drawing away already a lot of extra energy that is out of that fossil fuels and using more of those renewable energies that keep us alive as humans. If we took away some of that data center and we were just on a Google kind of world with like, searches that are not exponentially rising because of AI, wouldn't that keep us at a different kind of like plateau? And I guess what I'm saying is, are we at an upswing of more and more work? But what I found is that I agree with you that could AI make more efficient cooling systems so that you're not using as much water?
Sure.
Could AI jump in there and start to figure out like the other models? Like I started to think about DeepSeek, and it was DeepSeek from China. Is that right?
Yep.
That's an example of building an AI that basically did the same thing that a open AI could do with a lot less money and a lot less power at a smaller model. So start adopting smaller models, and we might be able to mitigate some of the changes and stop contributing back to that climate change that some of these data centers and some of the extra work is happening that we're seeing here.
Origami Okami Live in the chat had talked about like one of the biggest energy drains from large language models is the initial training of it, right? Like that is the thing that really eats up, because it takes hours and hours, and sometimes it doesn't work and you just have to throw it away and you start again. So the actual use of ChatGPT, like me and you just using it for whatever, is pretty small, but it's that initial training. But you're right, as more places are doing it and more people are doing it. I want to throw in one final thing at the end here, and it is to just say that it was in some ways difficult to find statistics that weren't from companies in this research. And I would say that, like, just to throw out a thing of, it's good when governments spend money on doing things like surveillance and research and testing of things that are out in the market, like these AI systems. And we don't just have to trust an AI company to tell us that how much water it takes to do one training model, or how much electricity it takes. I would love it if we were getting more overhead government oversight and research into this, so that we could look at it from a way that seemed maybe less biased. I found that when I was doing this, that, man, a lot of this is coming from these companies and not necessarily outside agencies.
What governments are we talking about here, Ryan?
Yeah, right. I know.
I don't want to go down the political rabbit hole, but I think that is one of the big challenges that I had as well as in the research is the and I called it the greenwashing. It makes things look a lot better as we go through.
Let's get it, boy. You came in right at the end. We just had an epic debate on, is AI helping or hurting climate change? Read through some of this, look at the VOD afterwards. Yeah.
Thanks for joining.
Thanks for joining us.
At this point, Ryan, if there was a thing, is I appreciate the format tonight of being able to take more of a polarized view one way or another. Because as you said things, I'm like, good job, sir.
I know. Yeah, exactly. You get, because I feel like we do a lot of like interrupting each other and stuff in normal times to get our little points across, and you're like, all right, I gotta hold it.
Yeah, no, I do think that as we look forward, it's a little uncertain as our future as we go through it, because it's kind of like that it does one side take over the other. Does it equal itself out? Do the gains, because we get enough research in regard to AI and those steps forward, get negated because we do certain things that are just as negative the other direction.
Yeah.
And so you're like, wow, we made this amazing thing that does this. And like, they're like, there's this battery that we made that lasts forever. And you're like, great, I'm going to shove that in my new sweet oil drill. And now we could do that all night long and 10 times faster.
I guess that's why part of this was the techno optimism side, right? That like, technology, it sort of moves us in a good direction, or in a positive direction, you would hope, because more people have access to it. I feel like when you have more people have access to intelligence like that better things happen, versus like people have, especially if you have smaller teams and they're not gigantic teams that are done by stakeholders that just want to make money, that you have more interesting and more positive results from teams like that. And then basically it's like, okay, well, the more people that you have working on something, and the more people that have this amazing artificial intelligence at their disposal, you just sort of hope, right, that the way that the world goes is that it goes in a positive direction of using it in a positive way.
I think that's a great place to end. And thanks for some of our first time chatters out there. Yeah. And we'd appreciate you to join Double Drop Down. Give us a follow if you like. If you haven't been part of this stream before, what we do is we take pretty interesting topics every 2 weeks. We deep dive in that for about an hour. We hit a lot of the technology news, creative news, interesting things that we talk about that have happened in those last couple of weeks. So we've been doing this for a couple of years. You can check us out also on Spotify. Listen to the information that we came out with. Nice. Came to mess around, but you guys are chill. I would like it. All right.
I'll take it.
It's a hangout.
It's a hangout. This is the hangout. This is where, we talk about creativity and technology and,
and crazy kind of things like that. I think that we've had some really good topics over the years. And so it's been really fun to be able to continue to hang out with y'all. So, hey, we are literally 3 followers away from hitting a goal of 80, and we have 3 people in the chat right now that could help us get over that.
Whoa!
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate that. It's
been awesome. So we're usually at the breakdown portion of the night. Hey, we gotta finish up the final end so that our Spotify playlist is.
Sure.
So thank you for listening to us. If you're on Spotify, you get to the part of the night where if you're hanging out with us, you can usually play some games with us at the end.
We're playing games. This is the after party.
We are 2 away. For
2
sure.
away now. All right. So we're gonna transition to the other room, right? And then maybe play around a Jackbox before the end of the show. Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, so I gotta tell a story. So let's see. So there's my kids started school today. So today was the first day of orientation, and we're going to the school. It's the first time my kid has gone to this junior high school. You know, he knows some kids, but a first one. And I'm pulling up to the school, right? And I'm looking around, and there were so many electric scooters and electric little, like, what are those little unicycle ones with the one wheel where you stand in the middle of the wheel? Like, just trying to, I bet there was more of the one wheel ones. I bet there was more of like electric sort of bikes and scooters and one wheel things and all of that, like chained up in front of the school on bike racks. It was probably like 30 grand worth of electronics chained up in front of the junior high school. And I was like, man, none of these kids like got any exercise getting here. They just sort of, electronically wheeled themselves to there. It also seemed very cool and futuristic. And obviously I doubt all of those kids typically go there every day on their little electric scooters, but they probably did it to show off, on the first day of junior high.
Sounds like a lot of money over there,
but
Ryan.
it does.
What kind of school are you taking your kids
but
to?
those have gotten a lot cheaper, like I feel like you used to not be able to even afford those unless you were rich. But I mean, an electric scooter nowadays, you can get one of those for $150.
That's right. Hey, so we're over here in the other room.
Okay.
So I feel it's like getting a couple of people to join at the last minute. They get to see like the breakdown portion of the night. Well, that's all right. We really appreciate you coming in and just checking us out. It's been a fun night. I love that conversation. So Ryan's going to get over here. What do you want to do, chat? It's usually up to you. What's the game that you want to play? We do a little bit of Jackbox just to end us out. Do you want to use Drawful tonight? That's been one. TKO is always a fun one as well. We have chat saying TKO for the evening. All right, let's see. Let's get ourselves into it. And this is a chat favorite. Actually, Drawful, I think, was probably the biggest chat favorite out there. TKO 1 or 2 is the question. When are we going to upgrade to wireless? Oh, that might be a good idea. All right. Is this TKO 2? I can't tell. Is it weird that we have plug-in headphones? Do you know how intricate my plug-in schema is in the studio? I have literally all these places that you can plug in this headphones. I've wired this sucker up into a lot of different locations. There it is, TKO2. I'm going to let everyone start getting into this one. Maybe one of these days we'll get a wireless. Yeah, helping us get through the time there. I get you. Hey, did you put up your LED lights, Disturbed? I was been waiting for that. Get it on Jackbox.tv, ZNYG. Join us tonight. Uh-oh. You're going to have to start us off, but don't start it until we get everyone into the chat tonight. Not even close. Maybe I can come over and help you out one of these days. No more whiskey. We tapped it out for the night. We're done. You got to get the strawberry peach LaCroix for the evening. We got Shifty. Come on. I know you guys are out there. Please join in. TKO. Who was the winner last time? Oh, last time it just like totally yanked it from us. I remember.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. It stole my victory from me.
It knew you shouldn't have won, Ryan. Hey, that was a really fun conversation night. I gotta say, like, I think the format went well. I think the hard part is if you like agree with the other person and you want to like jump on the other side, you're like, oh man, how am I gonna get?
I had to stop myself from doing that a few times, and or I was like, what if I acknowledge his point with a way of doing that, and then be like, no, and then rip it back and be like, it's actually good for me.
That is the fun part. Well, and that was the thing. I had a whole page of being like, let me rebuttal my own things.
6 minutes too is tough. Like if we do that again, I'm sure we
10
will
minutes?
do that again. Well, I'm not even saying like I feel if I knew the format, I would have been like, here's a more concentrated, tight 6 minutes. That I would get more. I would know which stats to really hit. I'd be like, you're only gonna get to hit 3 stats. What are your big ones? Oh,
Gotta pick a character.
Yeah. I always pick the bird.
Oh man, we're so
Bird
close to
house.
getting like almost 6 in here. All right, we're gonna give it a couple more seconds. Anybody else want to join?
Jackbox.tv.
Look how well our double drop down just fits on the screen. Double drop down. Join at Jackbox TV.
It does. It looks like it was
So in it.
picked.
Heck yeah. All right. Heather, take us away.
Do you ever change us to Jackbox? I guess we would have to do it right as we ended so that it
Welcome
would give
back
people
to
time to
T-Shirt
jump in.
Island. I am the new tournament
This is for our
mistress,
true
and I'm
fans.
reminded
True
the
fans.
time of
True
action
chatters.
combat has returned.
This is the non-podcast side of it.
This is the
It's
fans.
the hangout portion. We discovered this on 24-hour stream. I
Yeah.
think this is what took it. Man, 24-hour stream coming up
Coming
soon.
up.
Would you
They've been
look at
sending me
these
things being like,
unlikely
it's coming up.
heroes? I'm looking for 3 drawings from each of you. So get busy using your device to
3
create them.
drawings.
Drawings.
All right, let's get it, y'all.
Now. Draw whatever comes to mind. And ask for a suggestion if you want. We've all done it. You're doing 3 drawings in total, so pace yourself. Time's halfway up to finish your first drawing.
I don't know if that who was following us before, recent followers said they may have some topics.
Oh, I think they were more like, oh, is there just open topics? Like that we
I
can
know,
talk
but
about?
we should have taken it.
Oh yeah.
Taking it up. What was the topic for next time? I don't know if they're out there anymore, but it would have been great to get an idea what you want to hear about. We'll talk
10
about a lot.
seconds left.
Oh crap! You do multiple colors.
If you haven't started your second drawing, maybe, do that. One more drawing to go.
I need like a bucket, like a fill bucket.
That would be good.
Be aware, your time is halfway up. Ten seconds, wrap it up.
Oh shoot!
If you haven't started your third drawing, time to get into it. This is your last drawing. Focus.
I keep forgetting you can erase in this one.
You're halfway through your time.
Racing is so key.
Yeah.
I just used it. "18 seconds, y'all.
18 seconds. I can do it.
Get it."
10 seconds.
It's a weird one. I did a weird one.
Good job.
Mine were very
It's
different
time
than
to
what I
write some
typically do.
phrases and slogans. At least 4 from each of you. Begin writing now. These are short little phrases with as much or as little thought as you want. And hit the suggestion button if you're drawing a blank. Seriously, don't worry about making sense with these. Your time is halfway up. Ten more seconds. You wanted to make shirts? Now's your chance. Combine a drawing and a slogan to make the perfect garment from the choices you have. Start now. Make sure to pick the garment and slogan style that really suits your creation. Fashion and battle are about making decisions.
There's some good ones in here. Oh, man. Classic, folks. Thank you.
30 seconds.
It's all on you, trying to me.
Oh yes, these babies wanna fight. Let the tournament begin. Fight.
Oh, God. They're kind of both good.
I don't. Oh God, I don't. The Hi Mom one is nice.
It's like a classic
Yeah.
one. Like, I kind of liked it.
Hoodie takes it.
Oh my God, everyone's gotten to the mom kick now.
Yeah.
Oh.
Just you,
Split
me,
decision.
you, me, and the poop jokes.
I think it's gonna be a mom night. Oh, whoa. I don't know.
I would not want either of these shirts.
It's like the kind of shirt that that you see on someone else, and you're like, nope. Why would you ever wear that?
Why would you wear that in public? Ah, yes. It does look a little like the middle tone.
Get it, tank top.
Oh man.
Okay. It's like the monster washing machine.
It is.
All right. Good job.
Well, look who clawed their way to the top.
Damn.
Move on,
Ooh,
shall we?
Shifty.
Shifty with the slogan love.
Double. Slogan and pictures.
I want one more drawing, but
Okay.
I'm giving you a choice. You can draw something new or change something already in play. Make your choice now.
There's some fun ones, y'all.
I like this thing because at least you get to look through all of them.
Yeah, that's true. I think that's a cool part of it. Damn, there's some good ones in here. I'm just using all my time to look through them.
Yeah.
They're all so good.
Okay, you've all made your choice. Now get busy. You may have noticed that your drawing system has an eraser. Use it! I can't wait to see these in the arena. "30 seconds left. "10 seconds.
Come on. Oh, I know it. Did it not submit it? Oh, you got it.
That was weird.
Now for just a few more slogans. 4 or more. Start writing now. And a suggestion button still there, just in case. You're halfway through your time. "10 seconds, wrap it up. Now,
You didn't
choose
get the
from
last
new
one in,
drawings
that's
and
okay.
slogans on your
This is
device
probably
and
boring to
craft
watch on the
that
VOD.
garment.
We're just like staring down for 3 minutes.
I mean, you still have music and oh yeah, that's true. It's fun. You don't get to see it. That's why it's
just
That's
for
why I
the
have
fans.
Spotify.
Perfect garment and slogan style.
I got a lot of animals. This is great.
"30 seconds left. 10 more seconds. Who's ready to duke it out? Begin the tournament.
Begin.
Fight.
Nibs.
Now.
Nibs. I always forget that you can like put it in cursive and stuff for the font.
Oh yeah, the fonts. You can change it up.
Yeah.
Which one of these shirts would be adverse to climate change?
Oh, I beat it out by 1. I like that drawing. Whoever did that one. Is that you, Adam?
Yeah. Oh God. Oh. That's a good gremlin.
Yeah.
Whoever did
That
the
was from round 1.
It was. It made it all the way through.
Made it all the way through. Ooh, just made it.
And the gremlin.
Classic T for the win.
Oh God. The cat's eye is just like
It's like
so done.
yeah.
I feel like
Oh yes.
I could have swung it for my own.
I
and
know
voted
you didn't.
Oh man,
Those are both good. I would wear now. Now I would wear both of these.
they're
shirts.
both good. They have kind of a similar vibe too, like a straight line. With
Yeah,
like some
yeah,
things.
that's true. Even the I hate you one with the writing be like way down on your stomach. Score.
Now
Thanks, I hate it.
Is a winner. Great work. Let's keep
No
it
one,
moving.
no one did the writing for that one.
Yeah,
Just gave
what?
up. Just gave up.
It maybe was just like a thing it
Like
chucked
an
in there.
AI
Does
thing
it
that it
do
just-
that?
I don't know.
Between the
I
winners
just-
of both
maybe.
rounds. This time, vote
Oh,
for your
okay.
favorite and keep on voting until
Mine
the
doesn't have a
power bar of
thing.
your
Oh,
favorite
maybe I
choice
can't.
is full.
Oh, it was just showing.
3, 2, 1, go!
No.
Oh snap! I've never seen anything this close. Oh my God! Oh snap! Look at that.
Dang.
That was like neck and neck.
It's the first time I've seen that mechanic in this game like actually
Presenting
be fun.
your champion.
From the very beginning, from the bottom up.
I'm
You've
already.
restored honor to T-Shirt Island and to the phrase Polycotton Blend. You're all heroes. Now get off my island.
Nice. That was a good one.
Well,
Good job.
Heather was ready for
Okay.
it. She's the one that called it out.
It's true.
Wait, let's see who some of the stats here. Oh, look at she's damn taking it.
Yeah.
Most drawings used.
Pretty good.
Shifty
No
with the
slogans.
slogans. Double. Good job, folks.
Hey, I feel like you always get that award. You can just like write them out.
Check it out. Least drawings most ignored. You were like yet winner, and I thought you had the most.
I thought you didn't cut. And she just wait.
It said that she had the most drawings used.
Now I'm questioning the whole thing.
Yeah, I feel like it's a lie.
Most drawings used, but most drawings ignored.
I think it was saying writings ignored too.
Oh, okay, maybe that's it.
Well, as always, it's been a fun night.
Yeah.
And I love the new format.
Hmm?
We're interested too. If you're still out there with us tonight, what do you want to hear us talk about?
Yeah,
It would be really great to get a chat-driven conversation
totally.
because we've gone serious. We talked to AI. Is there something out there that you want to hear us talk about? I don't know.
I
Think about it.
Go to the Discord and just write
Or
us a
just
note.
put it right there in the chat right now. Let us know right this second.
All right now.
Hey, thanks for joining us tonight. Oh wait, let's debate some mind number pop culture.
Mind numbing. There we go. I know. I got it. Yeah, I could see like a lighter,
I was
a lighter
thinking that.
topic.
Like what
Could be good.
Like what would we talk about? That would be like would it be a debate or just like getting into it and talking about it, like a research kind of history of something?
Yeah, I could see
I
that.
was thinking about that. We definitely need to get some ideas also for the 24-hour stream. If there's some segments or people that you want us to interview that we need to start bringing in, I think those would be some fun things to talk about. Disturbed, maybe you would be coming in as one of those segments.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we were talking about that.
We were saying it was going to be the drawing November or October. So Inktober coming up.
Yeah.
Do we have any ideas on what the theme of that is going to look like? Because that would be nice to know sooner than later.
When did they release like the prompts?
I think it's just like relatively
the day before. Or
I
something?
think it's a little bit before.
Oh, okay.
That would be something good to go.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Well, we're going to call it a night tonight.
Yeah.
Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you so much for joining us. And until next time, we'll see you. Might be fun to bring in Kylia, pick her brain about some game reviewer. That would be awesome for the 24-hour stream.
Yeah.
Do you think she would do that? I think she would do that. I don't want to put her on the spot, but she's pretty damn good at that.
Totally. That would be great to talk to her.
All right. We'll talk to you later. See you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.